Nerds, what's up? Happy Friday night. How's it going? I haven't done a live episode in a while other than pay-per-view reviews, so I figured let's make 506 live. I think it'll be a lot easier this week to kind of hang out with you guys on a Friday night and talk. I had a feeling I would be off one of these nights. Let me check everything here real quick. All right, we look and sound good to me. You guys let me know if there's any issues on your end, and we'll be up and running. I wasn't sure which day it was going to be, but I knew near the end of this week I was going to have some random night off from work. So that's why I was kind of vague with what I wanted to do this week as far as the videos go. And lo and behold, this morning I had a feeling. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to work tonight. So I'm going to take the night off and come out and hang out with you guys. Remember like 6 months ago, we had actually closed down for some renovations, and I did a couple of Saturday night streams. Those were fun. So it's Friday night, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I was going to come up and do a podcast or a live video, one way or the other. I was going to talk about this shit because I have not discussed any current event stuff at all. So the format for tonight is going to be, I'm just going to kind of get into a lot of the wrestling news that's going around, a lot of Brock Lesnar news, a lot of Enzo Amore news. Unfortunately, we lost Matt Capotelli today. And just discuss any other wrestling news that's out there. The WWE Ring of Honor Madison Square Garden thing is also going on. And then I'll kind of briefly touch on this week's Raw and Smackdown, the rumors about a SummerSlam, and what's going on there with Brock Lesnar and all that stuff. And then after, I'll stick around. I'll hang out. Maybe we'll do a Q&A. We'll just chill. And I'll probably edit that part out of the podcast or out of the video, and I'll leave this video up. A lot of the live streams I take down or I make private. But this one I'll leave up there, and if we get into any trouble later on in a few hours and we start getting crazy, I'll just edit that out. So, anywho, we're here now. Let me get a hello from everybody. I have not looked down in the chat. I don't know how many people we got watching either. I have no idea what kind of an audience we're going to have on a Friday night. Looks like we got, maybe 50 in here? Yeah, pretty low. So, it's going to be a pretty casual hangout. Excuse me. Darren Pfeffer, thanks, dude, for the super chat. One's rolling in already. Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot, man. There's so many good stories in that. I'm going to pull that audio off of episode 337, and I'm going to put that up as a mic drop here at some point. But yeah, those were some fun stories. I remember the boys drove crazy. Any of you guys ever ran into one of these guys on the interstate or something? I mean, I don't know what it's like now, but back in the day, they were absolute fucking madmen. And I think that was just part of keeping yourself entertained on the road. There was no cell phones and iPads and all that other shit we have now to maybe kind of keep you busy, so they had to make their own good time, and they would fuck with each other on the road. I mean, just crazy reckless driving, 95, 100 miles an hour, weaving in and out of traffic, flipping each other off, throwing shit at each other, like, they were nuts. And Savio and Godfather and Undertaker was in on that too, that day. So yeah, fucking nuts. But thank you for the super chat. Why is everybody saying clean-shaven, good mic work? I'm not that clean-shaven, am I? Maybe I am. Yeah, and I'm gonna start with that too. I'm gonna kind of just casually chill here, let a few people get into the chat before we start really get rolling. But I am gonna talk about my upcoming schedule. There's a chance it might only be 2 weeks. I'm definitely not gonna be here this coming Monday in a couple of days for the live stream, but I will still be in town. The Monday after that is when I leave, and then the Monday after that is when I come back. But I'm really thinking I'm going to just suck it up and get up here on that third Monday, which will be the day after Extreme Rules, because I'm not going to be here for Extreme Rules. It's going to be my first pay-per-view that I've missed in a while, so I will not be up tweeting. I will not be up live streaming. There's a chance I could be tweeting. I'll probably get to take a look at it if I can, if I'm near TV. Otherwise, I'll pull it up on my phone and at least eyeball Extreme Rules. Which, by the way, here's an early request to all of you now, even though there's only about 70 of you in here. Keep this in mind. During Extreme Rules, send me all the updates on Twitter that you can, because there's a chance I might not be able to even glance at the network at all on my phone, and I might just be able to read tweets. So you guys might have to be my eyes and ears for Extreme Rules, which kind of sucks, but every now and then you got to miss a pay-per-view. So the next day is the post-Extreme Rules Raw, and there's going to be so much to talk about. So what I think I'm going to do, provided my shirt's not delayed, sorry, Harry Rice, I'm reading your comment. I'm glad you got the shirt. Provided my flight is not delayed and I get home on time, I'll probably watch Raw, live tweet during Raw, and then come up and do a stream after the show instead of the live reaction like I normally do. So that's what I'm going to shoot for. But unfortunately, there's no promises. Yeah, I'll check over on Twitter in a minute to those of you who are tweeting me. And yeah, before I get into Matt Capotelli, we'll probably open with that. I just want to finish up my schedule. So since I'm leaving here in about a week, next week around the normal podcast time, I'm going to come up and do like a full podcast. Normal podcast, episode 507. We'll talk about Raw. We'll talk about Smackdown. And then on the weekend, a couple of days after that. So that podcast, episode 507, will come probably Thursday. And then on Saturday, I will be releasing, this is a week from tomorrow, my next DVD review, which is a Patreon request from Barry. I'm doing that video for him. That'll be up on Saturday. And then I'm going to have kind of an early Extreme Rules predictions video, like a one-off episode, that I'm just going to predict Extreme Rules, the matches that are announced so far. A couple of matches are probably going to be announced after I leave for vacation, because I'm leaving before the Go Home Raw. But I'll come up here with what I got and at least schedule that to be uploaded while I'm gone, along with a bunch of mic drops sprinkled out throughout the entire time that I'm on vacation. So maybe you won't even really notice that I'm gone, aside from, unfortunately, not being up here for Extreme Rules. But the more I think about it, I'm going to be up here the night after. Like I said, provided there's no flight delays. Yes, the podcast is live this week. I know I got a couple of super chats to come up here and answer as well. I've been working on a lot of stuff for the channel to take care for it to be, semi-active while I'm on vacation. So I really didn't want to go through the time of recording a podcast and editing it and going through all the bullshit. And since I scored a Friday night off, let's do it live. Let's talk about everything we're going to talk about with you guys. We'll hang out, we'll chat, I'll answer questions. And I'm going to open up a beer because it's Friday. I bought myself one of these delicious Stone Delicious IPAs. They're not bad. I'm going to have one of these, except I don't have a fucking opener. Here we go. So yeah, it's dinner time. So yeah, we'll hang out on a Friday night. What a bunch of nerds we are. Fucking Friday night, and we're talking about wrestling on the internet. Oh yeah, I'm never home on Friday nights. I don't even know what to fucking do with myself whenever I get off. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Do people go out, do things, go to dinner? All my friends are working, so what the hell am I going to do? You guys are my friends tonight, so cheers. Happy Friday. Very rare Friday night stream. I don't know how many of these you guys are ever going to see out of me. But like I said with the channel, I've been trying to change things up a little bit, I was really getting kind of bored with the same old routine every week, and I felt like it was getting a little bit stale, so I wanted to liven things up. Hence the mic drops, and hence the, the one-offs, and me maybe skipping a week on a podcast and doing a live one instead, like this. More pay-per-view reviews and DVD reviews, shit like that. I am trying to go back up here and find these super chats, guys, so bear with me. There's the one from Darren. I saw that one. Tar Brehan, thanks, dude. You're always in here. I appreciate it. Thanks. I don't leave. Today's what? Friday. I don't leave until a week from Sunday. I'm taking the red eye out next Sunday night. So I still got a whole week of work and a bunch of shit to do, but I'm trying to prepare because being away from the channel for like 8 days kind of freaks me out. I want to make sure I give you guys content because I just hit 20,000 subscribers on the live stream on Monday. So it's going to really stall without me being up here for a pay-per-view and live streaming and, doing podcasts and stuff. So the subs are going to stall while I'm gone, but whatevs. What can you do, right? And Randall Yates, thanks, dude. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, on a Friday. I thought it would be fun. In the back of my mind, I mentioned this in my stream on Monday, I think, and I also tweeted that this episode could be live. I wasn't sure. I knew I was going to get a day off, and I'm happy that I just randomly scored tonight off. So, hell yeah, I agree. Fuck yeah, I should say. So thanks for the super chat, Randall Yates. All right, so beer is opened. Greetings are made. I gave you guys my schedule and let you guys know what to expect from me in the next couple of weeks while I'm gone. Let's talk about what we're going to get into tonight. And unfortunately, we got to talk about some sad news first. Matt Capotelli has passed away. Dude fought so hard, man. It's sad. And this is not surprising news. We've heard that he was really in rough shape. He initially beat the first bout with cancer. Wound up being cancer-free. And this was like brain tumors and shit. I mean, this was gnarly stuff. The dude just went through hell. Stayed positive through the whole thing. Remained in amazing shape. Positive outlook. Whenever somebody goes through that and whenever I see them, having that much value on their life where they really want to fight, they don't let them get them down, they're not depressed, they actually like fight harder. I'm just so like impressed with that. I just easily could see somebody just giving up. So he did anything but, and beat it the first time around, but it was just relentless. Ended up coming back. I don't remember when it was. You guys might know when exactly he had the cancer return. A couple of more surgeries, I think, took place, and then eventually, I think they just decided that there's nothing else they can do. Kept him comfortable, and they knew he was pretty much on borrowed time. I think he passed away today, sometime in the afternoon. So it's a shame. Some of you are asking who Matt Capotelli is. He's a young fellow that was on Tough Enough. I don't even remember the year. I'm going to say 02 or 03. It's been a long time now. And he was one of the, did he win? He's one of the finalists. I don't even remember. He was in the class with John Morrison. Valina, what's up, girl? How you doing? You're in here too. He was in there with John Morrison, maybe somebody else. And he also had that really infamous run-in with Bob Holly on the Tough Enough show. I think back in those days it was on MTV, right? And Bob Holly just beat the shit out of him. In one of their little workout sessions. I mean, beat him up bad. I mean, kicked him. A lot of people, it's a very heavily debated topic to this day, that did he go too far? As a cat walks onto my lap. Not a good time, buddy. I kind of, looking back on it, think Bob did go too far. Some people say that, hey, he was just being tough on these guys, and, he's just playing his role of being a trainer and being a hard ass and showing these guys that professional wrestling is not ballet, but still, if anything like that were to happen today at the Performance Center, you'd be looking at a lawsuit. So I always just kind of felt bad for him that he had to go through that with Bob. But Bob's just a heck of a nice guy, too. It's a shame to even think somebody as cool as Bob Holly would do that to someone. But, Bob was a no-nonsense guy, and he took the business seriously. And all he was trying to do was teach these kids that. But I kind of think he stepped just a foot or two over the line there. But just really sad what happened to him. Apparently his wife stayed by his side the whole time. If you look up pictures of Matt Capotelli, I was doing that today. It amazes me that during all of this stuff, just what amazing shape the guy was in. Just looked great. He stayed in the gym, kept working out. Like I said, he could have easily given up. Anybody in that position could have just said, well, why am I even going to go on? But he went on, he fought hard, and lasted a lot longer than the doctors probably thought he would. But he was young, man. What was he, 30-something? 35 maybe? Super young, just crazy sad. But his suffering's over because he was going through hell with all that stuff. So, at least he hopefully can be at peace. So rest in peace, Matt Capotelli. Sad day for wrestling. Sad week. Sad couple of weeks. Losing Vader as well. So, yeah, it's a shame. Ryback was in that. That's who I was trying to think of. And it was 2004. Thank you. Ungovernable. I don't remember some of those years now. I never really watched Tough Enough either. I remember watching the first series out of curiosity because that was when WWE was first starting to kind of dive into that reality show world. And doing that on MTV, there wasn't a ton of reality shows yet. There was some, but MTV was kind of known for Real World. And I thought that Tough Enough was basically like Real World, only, you go and wrestle every day as well. So the way you had the conflicts in the house, Chris Nowinski and Josh Matthews fucking hated each other. Who else was in there? A bunch of those guys got contracts, and some of them looked like we thought they were going to be a star. I think Maven was in that as well. Maven won it, actually, I believe. So a lot of guys got contracts out of that, and I remember watching that one. After that, I don't think I really watched Tough Enough ever again. So other than the clips I've seen of Bob Holly beating the crap out of poor Matt, that's all I really knew about the 2004 season. But yeah, that's rough, man. 38, thank you guys. I didn't know research. This is a hangout. It's an episode, but it's also a hangout. I knew he was in his 30s, but 38 is young, very young. I mean, your life essentially is not really even half over at that point. So, yeah, horrible. Chaz, what's up, man? I'm doing well. How about you? And thanks to everybody for stopping by tonight. Let's check our audience. All right, about 100 or so watching. Yeah, Friday night. I was really curious what the audience was going to be like tonight, what we were going to be doing. Definitely not going to be like 300 people like on Mondays, but it's cool. Just the cool kids hanging out on a Friday. Talking wrestling. No, I was already done with the Real World too by that point, Rob. I did not watch The Miz on Real World. I think with the Real World, I watched up until, I want to say it was the third one, where where Pedro, he was from San Francisco, the gay guy that I think had HIV, and he died. That was sad as shit too. That's the last one I remember. After that, I think I was done with the Real World, so never saw him either. Before we get into like Raw and SmackDown and stuff, I wanted to get into the wrestling news first. I thought that would be more fun because there's some shit floating around out there. And we're going to get into Brock Lesnar and SummerSlam and all those rumors. Everybody was freaking out about that today. But a lot of you guys have been sending me questions about, oh, I'm going to talk about Nakamura being attacked by a dog. What the fuck is that about? I read that story and I'm like, my God, can't even make this shit up. But how about WWE? Cock blocking, Ring of Honor, stopping them from running Madison Square Garden on WrestleMania weekend. What a bunch of assholes. When I first heard the story, I wasn't even aware that the show was on WrestleMania weekend, so at least that, I don't want to say I can understand, but at least it makes it better than if they were blocking them altogether. Like if Ring of Honor wanted to run another show at Madison Square Garden some other time of the year, if WWE would still stop them from doing that or telling the Garden to not do it. But I think it's kind of shitty. You know, WWE and Ring of Honor, there's no issues there. I mean, they're still companies that have to do their business, I understand, but they have some minor working agreements. WWE's featured a lot of Ring of Honor footage on their shows. They have a lot of Ring of Honor talent there. And WWE acknowledges Ring of Honor. There's even been some talk about maybe potentially putting them on the WWE network one day. So why would WWE even care? I just think it's it's petty, you know, for them to actually not want somebody to go in there and run the Garden just because that's their building. You're not even fucking using it, WWE. They never run Madison Square Garden. They do the live events there annually, a couple of those a year. But aside from that, what the hell do they do? Not Raw or pay-per-views anymore. WWE, when is that show they have in the Garden? They have a live event coming up there in a couple of weeks, I think, right? With The Undertaker having a match on that show, which is crazy. Undertaker back in Madison Square Garden 2 years after we thought he retired. But or a year and a half anyway. But I just found that to be so like just disgusting that WWE would even do that, would even go out of their way to do it. They got to know that, you know, independent wrestling companies are going to come in. Everybody's going to try to take advantage of WWE's big WrestleMania weekend. I can understand them maybe having issues with other promotions doing things in their area around WrestleMania weekend. We've seen this happen before. They've tried to stop several indie promotions from running other cities and stuff, right? This is not really all that new of an issue. But still, I mean, Ring of Honor going into Madison Square Garden would be very history-making for the company. I think they would get a good turnout, especially on WrestleMania weekend when a lot of people are in town anyway. Would it really take away from WWE's business? Maybe people that were going to go to Fan Access are going to go to Ring of Honor instead, so maybe it would take away something. But it's just shitty, it's petty, it's stupid. They're not even competition, you know. And I don't blame Sinclair Broadcasting for being furious. And Sinclair is not a small company. They got a lot of money too. They might have a couple of billion floating around in their own right. I really don't know, but they're probably not to be trifled with. And WWE, you know, they're not dealing with a rinky-dink promotion here. You know, they're going to piss off the wrong people, and then it's just going to become a matter of principle. You know. I just think WWE, it's a message that I've spread on my podcast before, and that is pick your battles. And this is one that I think WWE could have just let go. You know, it's not like everybody's going to try to run the Garden, and Ring of Honor is probably the one American promotion aside from WWE that would actually draw a crowd there. I mean, who else? You know, I mean, aside from, you know, New Japan coming in and running a show, what other promotion here could actually go into the Garden and draw a house? Maybe not a sellout, you know, put 10, 15,000 people in there, maybe, if they're lucky. Maybe not 15. 10 to 12,000 they might be able to pull off. And that would be a huge deal for them. You know, and Madison Square Garden is so rich in wrestling history and boxing history, and goes so far back with WWE, it's almost a shame that we don't see WWE running more shows there, but it's just much easier, I think, for them to run the Barclays Center, and probably cheaper, and there's probably all sorts of different reasons why it's easier to run there. Otherwise they wouldn't run there. So there's reasons why they don't go into Madison Square Garden, but that shouldn't give them the right to say, oh, no more wrestling, you know, in Madison Square Garden, unless it's WWE. It's not right. So fuck WWE. They're in the wrong there. That's a shitty thing to do. And to me, there's just no defending that. You know, some people are saying, oh, I understand why they're doing that. No, I don't understand that at all. Makes no sense. It's not going to do anything to WWE at all. And it just seems like it would be in WWE's best interest to stay on good terms with Ring of Honor as well, considering how much of their talent they now have. You know, if they ever want to have some working relationships down the road, or they need more footage or anything like that, why piss them off? You know? Yeah, AJ, you agree with me. So, yeah, I don't think that's really, I don't really think that's a cool thing for WWE to do, and kind of makes them come off as assholes. But it's not like we didn't know this. This is the exact type of shit WWE does. They wouldn't even let the Young Bucks do the click symbol, you know, and that's another thing. I'm like, okay, you know, you don't own that, but I guess you do, or you've trademarked it or something. It's just so stupid, you know. I mean, these guys are, you know, working so hard to try to make a living. You know, every dollar counts. You know, when you're on your own, you're not some big billion-dollar company. You're just a wrestler that's not even working for WWE, trying to take the few years that he has, the window of opportunity of time you actually have to make a living inside of a ring before you become too old. You become too old. You know, that's a short amount of time there. So you got to take advantage of every opportunity for revenue. And for WWE just to say, oh, nope, you know, you can't have a t-shirt, you can't sell merchandise, can't do any of that stuff. Technically, WWE is in the right and has their right to do that, but it's just shitty. Fucking shitty. AJ, the NXT stuff is coming. I just started here. We've only been streaming for about half an hour. And everything I've written up here on the screen we're going to talk about. We've got a lot to get into, and I got a bunch of notes here too. But just kind of taking it slow. There's no rush tonight. Figured it would just be kind of a casual hangout. I'll go over here to the Twitter and see if you guys are saying anything fun. Man, I get some weird tweets sometimes from some of you. Oh, Bubba, that's not a very good picture of me. I look like I'm all weirded out. But you got me on a 75-inch TV? Holy crap. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so anyway, WWE can suck a dick for doing that to Ring of Honor. I think it's pretty shitty. The other news involving WWE and Vince McMahon and business and stuff, actually, and I didn't see this, I only saw a lot of tweeting about it. Shit. I meant to pull up this story and I never did. So what's the story about? So apparently some dollar figure has been announced. WWE's spending like $500 million to launch the XFL. A lot of people are pissed about that because WWE doesn't even want to do pyro anymore because it's too expensive. And here they are dropping $500 million on the XFL. I was surprised at the backlash for that when WWE announced that they were going to start the XFL or restart the XFL and they were going to take it seriously, and Vince wanted to make it work this time and do a lot of things differently. He's not going to half-ass this. It's going to cost some money. It cost, I think, $100 million the first time around, and that was, 18 years ago. Now, $500 million to do it right sounds about right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you need if you're going to start a football league. I thought the number would be closer to $1 billion if you ask me. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but I don't think it's going to have an effect on WWE's like wrestling business. I mean, this is a completely different thing. Plus, you don't get a return on your investment for pyro. This money that they're sinking into the XFL, they're hoping to make back and then some. So yeah, they're spending all this, a lot of money up front type of thing to launch the XFL, but the return is going to be, worth it in the long run. So that's kind of simple business there. It's not something that the product isn't going to suffer. I don't know how Vince is spreading himself so thin, but he's got people in charge of the XFL. It's not going to be like the old days where I really felt in 2001 they might have taken their eye off the product a little bit to deal with the XFL because WWE was a much smaller company back then. They had just gone public, but still, internally, they were pretty small. So, now, as big as they are, they got enough manpower and stuff to handle the XFL. So the amount that they're spending, just because they're putting $500 million into the XFL, I don't think we're going to really see any less out of the pay-per-views. I mean, how long have they been cutting back on pay-per-view sets and pyro and shit like that? For years. For years and years. They just don't feel it's necessary anymore. They got to set up and break these shows down quickly and get everything out of there. I've even mentioned when I see now how they set up and rig the Monday Night Raw set, how different it is from when they first started doing the staging back in the late 90s. Now they have, this prefab gorilla that they just snap together and wheel right into place. Boom, 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 plug in all the monitors, and there you go. It's just, it's that quick. It's like a goddamn Lego set. So I miss the days of the elaborate pay-per-view sets, but I don't think they're coming back, really. So this is one instance where I'm not really freaking out about this number. Oh, $500 million in the XFL. Yeah, so what? If they want the XFL to work, you're going to have to spend some money. And I'll answer that super chat there in a minute. And again, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily going to take away from WWE. WWE just got $1 billion from the USA Network, or $2 billion from the USA Network and Fox. So, you know, they got enough money right now. They're fine. If this is a Vince McMahon investment, whatever. It's not like WWE is like, oh, we better stop signing talent. Look how much fucking talent is in the WWE. Look how many divisions. We had a brand new division that just started in WWE last week with the NXT UK. So it's not like WWE's skimping back on the wrestling talent. They're signing everybody. So if they're not doing pyro, I don't give a shit. Fuck the pyro. So anyway, there's my opinions on that. And there was a super chat up here that I missed a minute ago from, where are you? Lost you. Oh, Macram, thanks, dude. Appreciate that. Oh, Heart Foundation for sure. Heart Foundation for sure. Lane and Eaton were awesome, but there's no stopping the Hearts. They were badass. I mean, Bobby Eaton was a hell of a wrestler, but I still think Bret was a little bit... Wow, damn, that's close. Actually, a Bret Hart versus Bobby Eaton one-on-one match would be great, especially in the 90s. I doubt they ever crossed paths ever. They probably never did. Bobby Eaton was never in WWE. By the time Bret Hart got to WCW, Bobby was retired. Yeah, that would have been a fun match. It's a dream match right there. Fuck Neidhart and Stan Lane. Let's do Bret Hart, Bobby Eaton in 1990 for the WCW TV title. That would be fun. I'd be down. Pyro's expensive and not needed. Apparently that's what WWE feels, and yeah, I kind of agree with him there. So I did listen to a little bit of Enzo Amore on Stone Cold's podcast. I don't know when he was on there, a couple of days ago. I've listened to about 25 minutes of it, and I went right to the part where he described what happened when he was released, and he was released on that Raw 25 show when he got to the arena that day. So he kind of went through all of the details, like who he saw, what he was doing, when all of this started to happen. And he comes off pretty genuine. I mean, I'm not a big Enzo Amore fan. You know, the guy has got to have some issues when, even on the podcast, he was talking about how he dresses by himself. Nobody likes him. There's got to be a reason why he's not liked. There's got to be a douchebag side of him for that many people, including his peers, to really not want to be around him. So I know he's not perfect by any means, but hearing him on Austin's podcast, it sounds like he did kind of get a raw deal. I mean, this girl, this skank that he fucked, tried to screw him over, you know, and spread all this shit about him in a very calculating tweet, you know, which he's right about. For her to release this stuff and say that he had raped her on the same day of this big Raw show that he's going to be a big part of is really fucked up. And I guess he talked about how he was in rehearsals and his phone was blowing up, and somebody was, you know, said, oh, there's a tweet, you know, somebody tweeted something about, you know, you raping her and whatever. And then he talked about how he called his lawyer and immediately asked the lawyer to look into this, which he also did apparently a month before. In December, he had found out that he might be under investigation. So he claims that he immediately called his lawyer and said, hey, look into this, see what you can find, at which time the lawyer called, you know, the police station, and they said that he wasn't under investigation. So he called Enzo Amore and said, you're good. Excuse me. He goes, you're good to go. They don't even have there's no information, there's no investigation, you're fine, or whatever the hell the lawyer said. So Enzo opted not to say anything to WWE because he said, why would I? If I talked to my lawyer immediately and said, hey, look into this, and there's no charges and no investigation, why in the hell am I going to freak out management? So he's right. And then I guess the girl had sent out that tweet. People start freaking out. They ended up taking him off of TV for that night. At first, he had to go in and talk to Vince McMahon. And he talked about the things that they had planned for him that night. I don't know why I'm coughing. But he had a couple of really big segments planned. Number one, I thought was hilarious. He was supposed to lose the Cruiserweight title in a poker game. And, you know, when they had that night, I think they had all a lot of the old legends there doing a big poker game in the APA. a little set there. So it was APA and Ted DiBiase. He said Ted DiBiase was supposed to take the Cruiserweight belt. And then he was supposed to go out to the ring and have a match with Goldust, which he said he was looking forward to because Goldust's dad was a mentor to him. And apparently the way they were going to fix the Cruiserweight title situation is Nia Jax was going to win the belt back for him, or get the belt back for him somehow. Maybe in the poker game, maybe in the ring, I don't know. And then that was going to further maybe their love angle. So he's rehearsing all of this when he finally has to go talk to Vince McMahon, who just says he can't put him on TV tonight and for him to go home. And then as he's walking out the door, they say he's suspended. And then as he's leaving, he finds out he's being released. So sounds like a horrible day for Enzo. And it's just such an Enzo thing, too. The story of him wearing the shirt, what was it about? Like, make today the happiest day of your life, can't wait for tomorrow, or some shit like that. And he's wearing that around while he's getting released. Just kind of funny, but really kind of unfortunate. And yeah, like looking back, listening to his story, listening to him tell it, I feel like he got a raw deal. And I think maybe if it was anybody else other than Enzo, if this same thing happened to Sami Zayn, or just another talent that's maybe doesn't have all this heat attached to him, they might have survived this. But I think Enzo, given who he is, given his reputation, and his standing in the locker room, I think WWE was like, nope, let's just cut him, let's just release him. Were they right to do that? Not really, because he turned out to be cleared of all of this, and he was never guilty of anything to begin with. But at the same time, it's just another one of these stories that we always hear with Enzo, and he owned up to that. I mean, in Austin's podcast, he goes, hey, man, I was living the life. I'm going to Red Hot Chili Pepper concerts, and I'm getting backstage, and I'm going out, and I'm drinking, and I'm meeting girls. It's what I do. And so when he goes out, he's probably banged so many skanks. Oh, my God. Can you even imagine? Oh, my God. But one interesting thing he did say, though, is he said when he left the arena, he was driving to, I don't know, wherever, but he recorded himself in the car while he was driving immediately after his release, and just recorded himself talking the whole way to the airport or wherever he was going. And he says that he has that footage, and he goes, I have no idea what to do with it, but it's worth money, and that it is. So if he ever wants to put that on a YouTube video or something like that, that would be pretty awesome. So I'd like to hear him cutting a promo in the car that night after his release. So yeah, I mean, the little bit that I've heard, I think it was about an hour-long podcast, maybe a little bit longer. I've listened to a little bit less than half of it, but that's what I heard so far. So if he said anything else interesting, feel free to throw it in the chat here, and I'll try to go back and listen to the rest of it here when I have time this weekend. Yes, NXT. Sam, thank you. Was that next on my list? Actually, it was. It actually was. Good for you, Sam. You predicted the future. Now that the deal with Fox is done, there has been some confirmation, I believe, that Smackdown is going to be on Fox's broadcast network, which we kind of thought that might be the case, but that's pretty fucking huge. I mean, that's a big deal for WWE. That's an enormous platform. I think the exposure they're going to get there, the advertising they're going to get there. Imagine ads running for Raw and SmackDown during baseball games and football games and all that. So that's a big deal. And Fox, of course, owns a whole slew of networks, one of them being FS1. And there's been some talk about NXT going over to Fox Sports and maybe leaving the WWE network and airing over there. And I think that would be a great idea. More exposure for NXT as well. I would really like to see it become its own brand. And there was even some talk further that if it does go onto a television network, NXT might change, like its identity a little bit. Right now it's kind of the developmental type of place. It's where you go before you come to the main roster. But NXT might no longer be really looked at as a smaller brand or a developmental brand. They might be looked at as their own brand. Just an equal brand, which means if it is done that way, and maybe they move the show to 2 hours, and because if you're gonna have commercials, I think NXT should be a 2-hour show. So if they do that, and they can figure out a way to make NXT kind of prestigious to where if they had to take some of their main roster talent that they're doing nothing with, Ty Dillinger, if they could somehow figure out a way to move them back to NXT without making it seem like a demotion, that could be great. NXT could have cornerstone talent. They could have guys that work in NXT. And that's where they are. You know, Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black, guys like that can just stay there. And, you know, not that they can't, you know, switch brands here or there. You can still move guys up and stuff, but you can also maybe move them the other direction. Instead of just taking, you know, talent that's ready and moving them up to the main roster, if you can start mixing them back and forth, you know, that might be fun. And there's a lot, I mean, think about it. Back a couple years ago in NXT, Cesaro would go down there and work those matches with Sami Zayn and shit. So if they're able to figure out a way to do some of that and feature that on Fox Sports, make it a 2-hour show, you know, that could be fun. Now, that could be fun. Putting the cruiserweights on NXT, that's the thing. I don't think WWE wants to do that. I think the cruiserweights are their own brand now as well. And as you've noticed, we have not seen them on Monday Night Raw. So they're not even on Raw anymore. I think Triple H decided to pull them and just have them exclusive to 205 Live. And 205 Live is improved. I don't watch it that much, but the little bit that I see, it seems like it's got a better identity. It seems like it flows a lot better than it did when they first started. And I'm perfectly fine with them not being on Monday Night Raw. Perfect. Yeah, Matt, that's coming. That's on the list. I'll be talking about Brock Lesnar here as well. So, yeah, the whole Fox situation is going to be interesting. And we have a whole, year? We have another 15 months before this even takes effect. So there's a lot of time before we actually get to the network switch and all of that. But once SmackDown winds up on Fox, I just think it's really going to open up a lot of other possibilities. That's going to be, I think, the tip of the iceberg. And there's even been some talk about potentially television networks bidding for WrestleMania. And maybe in a few years, we're going to get there too. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, 205 Live's been getting really good reviews from everybody. I've really liked what I've heard and seen from 205 Live since Triple H has taken it over. The quality of the product and the integrity of it, to me, has just improved a lot. Instead of these brain-dead fucking writers handling it and shit. So, yeah. Seems like it's a good move to put Triple H in charge of something like that. I mean, Vince McMahon should really have no say in 205 Live. I think Vince McMahon should stay completely out of 205 Live and NXT, and I'm sure he does for the most part. No, Laura, I'm getting there. I'll be there on Bailey as well. We're going to talk about all that stuff. So what else do I have to talk about before we get into Raw and SmackDown? I think that's about it. I'm going to talk about some of the Raw stuff, some of the storylines there. We're going to preview Extreme Rules, and I'll talk about the matches that I have written down. We'll talk about SummerSlam, and yeah, we'll get into a bunch of shit. Well, yeah, we got to start off with the UK show. Now, I didn't see the whole thing because I know it was a 2-night event, but I saw the finals of the tournament. Zach Gibson won that, and I wasn't really that into the tournament this year. To me, it was weird. To me, it felt like, even though it was kind of the launching of WWE's new NXT UK division, and I feel like that's a new division. I mean, they're treating it as a brand new, England-only division, correct? I mean, they're going to have their own show, I'm guessing, with just British wrestlers and everything. So I thought it was a success, and that Royal Albert Hall, I think, is an awesome venue, and I love watching wrestling in there. But I didn't find myself really, I don't want to say enjoying, but really being that concerned with the tournament as I was last year, because the tournament this year, there's no belt on the line. The winner of it simply gets a shot against Pete Dunne. And I think what we saw Pete Dunne do, that should have been the end of last year's tournament. Tyler Bate won it, but Pete Dunne's been the guy that's been, what the UK division is centered around. And with them launching this division, I didn't see them taking the belt off of him. So I felt whoever won the tournament was going to lose to Pete Dunne, and he did. And Zach and Pete had a fucking hell of a match too. It was awesome. But Pete Dunne retained the title in the end there, and he went up to the stage and celebrated with Triple H and the rest of the roster and the rest of British Strong Style. So the Mustache Boys, what are they called? Mustache Mountain. They beat Undisputed for the tag team belts. That was spoiled. WWE actually leaked that a couple of weeks ago, or at least a week ago. So we all knew it was going to happen, but damn, it did not take away from how awesome the match was. I think on the first night they had a 6-man as well with Pete Dunne and those guys taking on all members of Undisputed. And that match was, I might have liked the 6-man maybe a little bit more than the tag team title match, but they were both awesome. So overall, what did I see? I saw the Aleister Black and Ricochet versus EC3 and Velveteen Dream. That was good. So overall, what I saw, even though I didn't see all of it, I probably saw 60% of the 2-day event. I thought it was great. I'll try to go back and take a look at it if I can. But a lot of you guys were tweeting about it. You know, check it out, check it out. I had it pulled up on my phone from time to time. I watched Shayna Baszler and Toni Storm in my car a couple days ago. So I was trying to take a look at it as much as I could, but I've been so busy this week. But I was glad I at least saw the major matches. I didn't see too many of the first round matches, so I didn't see that many botches. But yeah, I mean, that type of style, that's, you know, you're offering yourself up there for a lot of botches when you wrestle like that. But still, it was fun. It was a fun 2 days of wrestling. I mean, I like all the different kind of alternatives WWE has. Now they have this UK division. You already have NXT. You've got 205 Live. You know, you got Raw and Smackdown, which suck. But, you know, we've got you got some other stuff out there. If you want good wrestling, WWE has that under their umbrella. Sometimes it's just a little hard to find. But it's there. We know it's there. I like Pete Dunne. He's just, I don't know, with his look and everything. I mean, Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, guys like that were world champions. So I'm certainly not going to say that Pete Dunne won't be world champion. I would just be surprised if he was. I mean, he's an awesome fucking worker. Great worker. But I don't know. Is that going to translate? You know, Daniel Bryan got lucky. You know, Daniel Bryan's beloved. And I think Pete Dunne can be beloved kind of in the same way as Daniel Bryan, but probably never in the same way as a Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, yeah, the jury is out on Pete Dunne, but I love watching him work. I mean, for such a little guy, he's, who just said it, DQ. He's a beast. He really is a beast. Bruiserweight. I saw the photo of him on Twitter, too, from a live event. He was rocking the Vader gear, which is just awesome. So, yeah, I'm a big Pete Dunne fan. He's great. But again, a guy like that, you know, it's just best to keep him in the NXT environment. You bring him to SmackDown, he's going to be Chad Gable. You know, what's he going to do? He's not going to do anything. So I think Pete Dunne, you know, his success depends on, you know, him being kind of the cornerstone and the focal point of that brand. Where I think if he comes to the main roster, I mean, could you imagine Pete Dunne on Raw tag teaming with Braun Strowman like Finn Balor does? No, it wouldn't be good. Oh, SmackDown 1000 is coming in October? I think I knew that. Yeah, that sounds about right. SmackDown started in 99. Almost 10 years old now. Shit. Or 20 years old, sorry. So you like, so you like Tyler Bate as champion? I always got the impression, granted, I'm no expert, so I might sound stupid, but when I saw him win the belt, and then he kind of lost it, I just felt like WWE, it felt this way with the Cruiserweight Classic too. It felt like they put the belt on the guy that they didn't necessarily want to put the belt on, or something, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of dumped Tyler Bate, like he picked himself right back up, he's tag team champion now, but it felt like they almost immediately regretted putting him over Pete Dunne. Because weren't those two guys in the finals, right? So for Pete Dunne to get the belt from him and now be the guy, it felt like that's what they should have done all along. So when I saw the tournament this year, I was like, this is the finish they probably wanted for last year, with Pete Dunne celebrating with Triple H and the whole roster. It seems like that's what they should have done last year. And TJ Perkins won the Cruiserweight Classic, and then they took the belt off of him pretty quickly after that, and he was just not even used, you know, at all. So I feel like the Cruiserweight Classic, they would have rather put the belt on maybe Kota Ibushi. What was the finals? Was it those two guys? I forgot what the freaking finals were. I don't think it was Ibushi. It was somebody else. Cedric Alexander? I don't remember. But Cedric would have been another guy that they probably would have just rather have him and should have had him win the tournament. Yeah, Vash, what's up? Live stream tonight. Random Friday night stream. Figured we'd come up here and do a live episode, because I didn't feel like recording and editing a podcast for the weekend. I got too much going on, and I'm trying to get more stuff done and more videos in the can here to be uploaded while I'm gone on vacation. But you still got some stuff for me next week, but unfortunately on Monday I'm not going to be up here. That's another reason why I'm up right now, because this Monday I will not be up for my normal Monday Night Raw live watch along. I've got something really important, big, massive party. I've known about this thing for like 6 months. It's this big event. I got to get dressed up and everything. So I will not be home on Monday to watch Raw. I have not seen Rich Swann's TNA debut, but I heard that he was going there. I didn't know he debuted already. So, what have we knocked out? We've knocked out everything except the Raw and SmackDown, Extreme Rules, and SummerSlam stuff, right? So on Raw, I left the stream up too. It's still up there. But on Monday, I was up here to review or react to Raw, and the show sucked. But I think there was, what do I have written down? 1, 2, 3. There was 4, I think, major things that went down on Monday Night Raw. Number 1 is that Kurt Angle has announced that the big multi-man match that he announced for Extreme Rules that he was going to start naming competitors for is off. Apparently, got an asshole outside. Apparently, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar made some sort of a stink on social media about Brock Lesnar's potential opponent and that there's nobody else for him to face, and he's not going to honor his contract, and he's not going to defend the belt at SummerSlam. What the fuck? So Kurt Angle comes out on Raw and just kind of cancels the match. And so I was speculating on Monday night. I'm like, okay, what does this mean? Does this mean that WWE changed their mind? They're not gonna find a number 1 contender this way for Brock. So they're like, okay, there's time to run a stupid angle on social media, and then Kurt Angle can use that for the reason to cancel the Extreme Rules match. Or has this been the plan all along, and it's just postponing them determining who's going to face Brock? And instead of the multi-man match, Jesus, there's some asshole. Oh my God, little motorbike. It's probably the Undertaker riding by. But anyway, they, instead of doing the multi-man match, Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley are out there in the ring again, kind of cutting a promo on each other like they did the week before. And I'm starting to think, dude, this is the match you should do for SummerSlam. I'm like, this is what you should do. You should have the multi-man match. Neither guy win it because they're brawling with each other or they eliminate each other or something like that. And then they can face each other at SummerSlam. That's a pretty big match. Say what you want about Roman Reigns, but Roman and Lashley is a match that we haven't seen. It's 2 massive dudes in WWE. 2 dudes that Vince McMahon is in love with. So it's kind of curious to see. I would be curious to see who would go over in that. And who the fans would boo louder. Because the fans really don't care much about Bobby Lashley either. So I'm like, sweet. They should put those 2 guys together at SummerSlam, and that opens up the door for Seth Rollins to get the nod to face Brock for the title. But then they throw us another curveball by having Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley face each other at Extreme Rules. So we're getting that match early, which sucks because I worry that that's going to wind up turning into a number 1 contenders match somehow. But it's also possible that it could lead to a rematch. A match of that size, you don't just do one of those and be done with it. So regardless who wins there, maybe it's possible that they could work again at SummerSlam, which still means Brock Lesnar is open to be challenged by somebody other than them. Which, again, Seth Rollins, I think, is the guy number 1 on all of our lists. I mean, Seth Rollins is the guy right now. He really is. He's everybody is on Team Rollins. Everybody acknowledges that if there's anybody that the fans would love to see take the title off of Brock Lesnar, Seth is it. And I agree wholeheartedly. So I'm hoping that's what they eventually get to, but right now I don't know. You got Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley one-on-one at Extreme Rules. I'm worried that whatever happens there, maybe between now and Extreme Rules, Kurt Angle makes that a number 1 contenders match. And if they don't, then you got to figure that out on Raw before SummerSlam, because Brock Lesnar has to work the show. Everybody's been talking today. It's a big story online. There have been some reports that now Brock Lesnar is reportedly off SummerSlam. He is no longer advertised to appear on the show. And I say bullshit. Bullshit. JD ain't wrong when he said WWE Raw has issues. I'll take no fucking shit for 500, Alex. Well, yeah, we know Raw has issues. Duh. There's many of them. True. So, yeah, anybody that thinks Raw has issues, guess what? They're right. But, what I'm... Oh, hey, Catherine, what's going on? I'm almost ready for my trip. It's still a week away. But, I'm here now. I'm here on a Friday night. What are you doing in New York? It's 11 o'clock. I'm glad you're in already and not out on the walking the streets, you little hussy. Yeah. I mean, I can't be the only one that thinks that's bullshit, right? There's no way Brock Lesnar is not working SummerSlam in fucking New York. It's not happening. He will be there, and he will be defending the title. There's no way. And plus, I mean, think about it. There was reports like, say for example, or say for argument's sake, the reports that he might have signed some sort of a short extension prior to WrestleMania were true. You think for 1 minute that that 6-month extension or whatever it is not going to include SummerSlam? And plus, Brock is all about business. Brock is all about money. You think he doesn't want a SummerSlam payday? So I think that WWE is trying to get the fans to hate Brock Lesnar as much as possible. And it could be a ploy, like everything else is, it seems like, to get Roman cheered. Maybe WWE wants to piss off the fans so bad and make everybody hate hate Brock Lesnar that they have the attitude anybody other than him is good. And we're just going to pop and we're going to cheer for him losing the belt regardless of who beats him. Unfortunately, that might be WWE's motivation here, which I think is stupid motivation. If they're so concerned with the fans cheering when Brock Lesnar loses the title, here's an idea. Give Seth Rollins the fucking title shot, you goddamn idiots. What the fuck? I'm not wrong, right? I mean, it's like everybody right now is clamoring for Seth. He's got the respect of everybody. He's the guy. The fucking curb stomp Brock's skull right into the mat, pin him. The pop in New York City. You got to know your audience. You got to know where you are. You got to know who you're performing in front of. And if WWE is going into New York for a big pay-per-view like this and a big-time title match, Brock now has held that belt for a year and a half. It's time for him to drop it. You really want to have all of that work, all that long time that we as fans have had to sit here and not have the Universal title on Raw and wait and wait and wait and wait. When Brock finally drops it, you want the fans to boo? Jesus, WWE. So I think all this shit is designed to try to get the fans so pissed at him that they want him to drop the belt to anybody, which I think is just a big waste of time. If you want to have the fans cheer when he loses, put Seth Rollins in there, and then you can do Seth and Roman. Because guess what? Roman Reigns is going to have to be world champion sometime again. You motherfuckers need to start, accepting that. So it's going to happen. So maybe not beat Brock. Fuck it. He's already beat Brock technically, right? At the Greatest Royal Rumble. So have Seth going to SummerSlam, beat Brock Lesnar with the curb stomp, celebrate, hold the title for a few months, and then have Roman take it off of him. Roman can be the guy to beat Seth Rollins for the belt. I mean, Roman Reigns has got to be champion at some point, so I'm trying to think of the best way to where it would be easiest for the fans to swallow, and I think that would be acceptable because I've said it time and time again. Roman Reigns has now not been champion for over 2 years. Somebody said to me on Twitter earlier today, oh, they shouldn't put the belt on Roman. He's already been a multi-time world champion. Give it to somebody who hasn't had a chance yet. I'm like, well, Roman hasn't been champion in 2 years. There's guys right now. The Finn Balor's been champion, more recent than he has. So I didn't think that, that something like that would even matter. What did you just say there, Lorenzo? But Roman Reigns, he's going to end up winning the belt. So what's wrong with just having Seth win it now? That would be a great way to launch Seth. Now you've got another major guy on your hands. I mean, WWE has already made a major star out of Roman Reigns. He's had the big WrestleMania main event moments. He's won the title there. He's semi-retired The Undertaker there. He's done a lot of big things at WrestleMania. He doesn't need any further launching. The way the storyline is going, it feels like he's got to face Brock again and beat him. Like it or not, you might say that it doesn't make sense, but it actually does. It actually makes a lot of sense if Roman Reigns faced Brock Lesnar again. It does. The problem is it's just going to suck and we don't want to see it. So it actually makes perfect sense if you follow the storyline. If you follow every encounter that they've had, giving Roman the match at the Greatest Royal Rumble now opens up the door for them to do it again. It could have ended at WrestleMania. That's actually where it should have ended. And I'll agree with everybody there. I think WrestleMania should have been the end of the line. But unfortunately, after Roman Reigns got killed, they gave him another match in a cage match. And then because of the finish of that cage match, it now opens up the door for this fucking guy to get another match against Brock Lesnar. So, unfortunately, storyline-wise, in a vacuum, if you're putting it out of your head that one of the guys in this match is somebody that you hate, and you forget all of that, and you just read the storyline blind without knowing anything about the competitors or the characters, you'll agree, yeah, this match is probably going to happen again. But I still think that it would be much more fun if Seth Rollins won the belt at SummerSlam. Think of the pop. Think of the elation. Think of the happiness from the crowd. Think of the happiness on Twitter. Think of me coming up here and doing a podcast or a post pay-per-view live stream and not having to freak out, not having to complain, not having to just sort through just tons and tons of hateful fucking tweets. Everybody's pissed off. WWE's going out of business. I'm canceling my network. Brock Lesnar's going to NXT. Whatever the fucking crazy ass shit we're going to hear. WWE can avoid all that with one simple idea. Put the belt on Seth. And there's a lot going on with Roman and Seth too. We saw Roman setting up his match with Bobby Lashley at Extreme Rules, but then later on Monday Night Raw in the main event, Dolph and Seth for the Intercontinental title ends in a DQ when Drew McIntyre gets involved and they start beating the crap out of Seth, and then Roman Reigns comes down and helps out. So Roman has got now basically a feud going on alongside his Shield brother Seth against Drew and Dolph, and he's got this one-on-one thing with Bobby Lashley going on. And they lost, by the way. They took on the Revival again, and when I was up here doing the stream on Monday, I'm like, the Revival should win this match. Makes no sense at all for Roman and Lashley to win. They don't even like each other. Put the Revival over here, and they did. I was actually surprised to see that. But I'm starting to wonder now if they were to do something like, I don't know, if they decide to make Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley's match at Extreme Rules a number one contenders match, maybe Drew McIntyre can get involved and maybe cost Roman Reigns the victory or some shit. I don't know. Because they set something up there. I mean, Roman Reigns fought off Drew McIntyre and Drew and Dolph retreated. And I'm almost certain this week on Raw we're going to get that tag team match. Have they announced that yet? I bet they have. Are we going to get Dolph and Drew versus Roman and Seth? Wouldn't be surprised at all. But if Roman still has this thing with Bobby Lashley going on, now essentially he's got two kind of little mini programs going on. Which direction is he going to go in? And what does it mean for SummerSlam? And if he is going to get the match against Brock Lesnar, how do they do it? What do they write for him? It's going to have to be a number one contenders match. Like Roman Reigns is going to have to earn his shot against Brock Lesnar if he gets it. So unless they change the stipulation last minute, maybe if they run one of those stories on WWE.com or something like that. Oh, WWE and Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar have come to terms with a match at SummerSlam. The winner of Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns will face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Then maybe Drew McIntyre can interfere, cost Roman the match. Bobby Lashley goes on to face Brock. And then Roman and Seth take on Dolph and Drew in a tag team match. I don't want to see that either. So, yeah, I just would rather see Seth and Brock. Brock should not have any problem with putting Seth over. Brock shouldn't care. Brock doesn't give a shit. He just wants money. He'll do business. So if Seth puts him down with the curb stomp, I think it would be fun. And man, would that crowd love it. They would love it. I know I'm missing a lot of comments here. Hopefully I haven't missed any super chats. What's our audience like? I haven't even looked here. I've just been talking and talking. What do we got? We got 100 in here at least? Oh yeah, we do. 120. Hey, that's not bad for a Friday night. I'll take 120. Hey, by the way, those likes suck. That little finger right there. We got 50 likes in here. 120 of you watching. Click that like button. Hey, by the way, subscribe to me too. Because my subscribers are going to take a hit while I'm gone. So yeah, nobody even knew subscribe tonight. So yeah, I think you guys are all already subscribers. But if you're not, hook me up with a like, hook me up with a subscribe. And that's all you got to do. I'll do the rest of the work. I got everything from here. Well, no, Braun is the wild card. I mean, that's the thing about Braun, too. He's got the fucking briefcase. And you know the character that Braun is, he's going to want to cash that in the minute Brock Lesnar shows his face. So this whole thing with Paul Heyman and Brock might just be their storyline way of keeping Brock out of the arena so he doesn't have to worry about Braun Strowman. But at some point, that's all got to come to a head, too. So that might be WWE's way of just not having to have Brock and Braun in the same place. Otherwise, you're going to have to write something else for Braun. You're going to have to do something to where he leaves the arena or he gets injured or he's just gone, for some reason when Brock shows up. So, Nasir Jones, that is a very good possibility that just came in my head about Braun Strowman is maybe this whole shit with Paul Heyman and WWE's announcement that Brock Lesnar, or the internet's announcement that Brock Lesnar's not going to work SummerSlam. Maybe this is just a way to keep him off of TV, so he doesn't have to show up on Raw and cut a promo and have Braun Strowman come out there and interrupt him. Because you know that'll happen immediately as soon as he gets there. Like, that's just who Braun is. So yeah, that could be, this is all tied in, you know. And then Braun, I mean, what's he going to do at SummerSlam? Is he going to cash in? How is Braun not going to cash in at SummerSlam? And I mentioned that scenario too with Roman Reigns. I'm like, you know, what if Roman wins the belt, but then Braun cashes in and beats him, you know, for the belt? Is that okay? Is that acceptable? Or what goes on there? I think it would be more fun if instead of Roman Reigns winning the belt and then dropping it, if Braun Strowman just comes in there Carmella style, or not Carmella, Alexa style, and just sabotages the match, gets one of them disqualified, referee rings the bell, and now he says, now I'm cashing in, picks up Brock, nails him with the power slam, and pins Brock Lesnar. I would actually rather see Braun, God, these cars, I would actually rather see Braun Strowman pin Brock Lesnar than Roman Reigns. I mean, Brock owes him one anyway. I mean, he beat Braun Strowman last year at No Mercy. So if Braun is able to do that, you know, and you could even go one better. I mean, don't forget what kind of a person Braun is. He's insane. Look at what we saw him do on Monday Night Raw. It was a stupid segment. I hated it, but he flipped over Kevin Owens' car. By the way, Braun Strowman does not need counseling for the attempted murders and the damage and vandalism to public property or to private property like he's been doing with everybody. God damn, I'm sorry, guys. I've got my windows open. It's a gorgeous night, but I did not know there was a 1-inch dick asshole driving his fucking motorbike back and forth past my house, pissing me off. What was I talking about? Braun Strowman, right? Braun Strowman in the briefcase. Sorry, I'm reading a super chat here from Chris. Let me get to that one so I don't forget it, because I know I saw it here. There you are, buddy. If Heyman leaves with Brock, who could you see him eventually coming back to work with as a manager? Oh, God. And thank you for the $5 super chat there. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, the only one on the top of my head would be Ronda Rousey. Other than that, Lashley. I mean, what if Lashley and Brock wind up going head to head? You know, that could work. But getting back, God, this guy's gonna drive by again. But getting back to Braun Strowman, with all the crazy shit he does, if he winds up showing up at SummerSlam, somehow getting the title, then you got to wonder what you do with Brock after that. If Brock is going to go off and fight in the UFC, or if his contract is up and he's going to be off TV for another 6 months, you would think Brock, the competitor, after losing the title in that manner, would say, I want an immediate rematch. I want to face you again next month at No Mercy or whatever the hell the September pay-per-view is. But if you have Braun go all Braun Strowman on Brock after he beats him, you know, once he power slams and pins Brock and wins the title, then he takes Brock Lesnar into the back and just fucks him up, does something to him, throws him in the back of a garbage truck, or tries to murder him, or pulls down the pay-per-view set, or shoots a firework up his ass. I don't know. Braun can do something to where he annihilates Brock Lesnar, putting him out of action, putting him on the shelf. You know, I just think of like Eric Bischoff being thrown in the trash truck by Vince McMahon. And here you got all the fans pissed off at Brock Lesnar. You know, he's not defending the title. WWE's making it seem like he's sitting at home, getting blowjobs by Sable while everybody else is working hard on the road, which is true. And maybe Braun is finally like, we're done with you. We're out of here. You're out of here. You've held our belt hostage. I'm giving the Universal title back to Raw. And, you know, and he goes nuts, beats Brock Lesnar, and then takes him to the back and just, I don't know, kills him. You know, kills Brock Lesnar. Why not? He's killed a couple of other people already, right? So that could be a good way to just get Brock off of TV indefinitely, and then maybe one day bring him back. And now you got a built-in storyline. If Brock ever shows back up, maybe even a year from now, he can come right out and confront Braun Strowman. And Braun will now be known as that guy, at least until Brock is gone, or at least until Brock comes back. He'll be known as the guy that ended Brock's run in the WWE. He conquered the beast in more ways than one. So again, it would be a full circle moment. If all that happens, think about it. If Braun Strowman wins the belt from Brock Lesnar somehow and then annihilates Brock and puts him out of the WWE, you know, just by physically killing him, it kind of makes all that stupid loss that he had last year kind of just go away. Doesn't exist. You know, doesn't matter anymore. Everybody thought Braun was buried. If he turns out, if a year later he ends up doing this, he's not buried at all. He's doing just fine. Now he's the champ. And then Roman Reigns can maybe move on to either continue things with Bobby Lashley or work with Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre, you know, he's another guy that should be, you know, groomed to be a title contender. He does not have to get a title shot tomorrow or anything like that, but I just think a guy like Drew McIntyre needs to be in the title picture, especially if Brock is going to drop the belt and be out of the picture now and be gone. Now you got the belt on Raw. We're not used to that. Think about it, guys. It's been a year and a half. If Brock finally coughs up that belt at SummerSlam, we're going to have that belt on Raw every week. We're not going to know what to do with ourselves with a world title on Raw every week. I forgot what it's like. What's it like? Y'all tell me. What are you saying down there? What about Seth versus Roman versus Braun at Mania? I don't see those three guys in a three-way. I think by then, whatever issue the three of them have is going to be settled. Dean Ambrose is another guy that I wouldn't be surprised to have show up somewhere. He can get involved, especially now if Seth and Roman are back together. You know, Dolph and Drew. If there's more shit going on there, maybe Dean Ambrose comes out to make a save as a surprise 1 week on Raw, and then he winds up going heel, either at SummerSlam or whenever the hell he comes back. Apparently he's got a different look. I saw one photo of him at a hockey game. He looks a little bit different. Jason Jordan is another guy. He had, you know, storyline stuff going on with Seth Rollins as well before he got injured. So there's lots of factors. You know, who's going to face Brock? What are they going to do at Extreme Rules? What is Roman going to do? What is Brock going to do? What is Seth going to do? When's Dean Ambrose going to come back? When's Jason Jordan going to come back? When's Braun Strowman going to cash in the briefcase? There's a lot going on. It's almost impossible to sort out and speculate on right now. But after we get past Extreme Rules, you know, we should be getting close to, you know, kind of seeing the writing on the wall, at least what WWE has planned. But yeah, best we can hope for in this Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar scenario is if Braun Strowman gets involved. Drew McIntyre, that's a good one. Jacob, winning the Royal Rumble next year, he'd be an awesome candidate. Part of me thinks I'd still really like to see Daniel Bryan win it. I mean, what WWE did to us in 2014 and 2015 with Daniel Bryan, he went an hour and 5 minutes at the Greatest Royal Rumble. You know, it seems like that would be a perfect way for Daniel Bryan to get a title shot, especially if The Miz finds out a way to take the belt off of AJ Styles. Daniel Bryan and Miz, WrestleMania, that would be all right. Alex Crawford, what if Dean Ambrose comes back with Dirty Deeds by AC/DC as his entrance theme? Only if WWE wants to pay for it. AC/DC, they've done work with WWE before. They've sold them some music, but WWE is usually cheap when it comes to that. I don't remember them doing that for anybody else other than major stars. They do it for Ronda Rousey with Joan Jett. They did it for CM Punk with Living Color. They paid for it one night when Metallica came out at a one night only or one night stand. What else? Did my cat just fart? No, are they around? There's no cat farting going on in here right now. Although one is sleeping. Actually, they're both sleeping. So just keep it down, all of you. Don't fucking wake them up. God damn. And oh, by the way, all these like random questions, we'll get into those later on. I'm still in the middle of my discussion here. This is kind of a slow discussion. We're taking our time here tonight, talking about everything. Once I'm done talking about all the wrestling shit and all that stuff, I'll start answering crazy questions like your question, rarely even. But there's a lot of movies I've seen an abundance of times. Goodfellas, Pulp Fiction, shit like that. Read down here in some of the... read a little bit of the chat here. Let's see if you guys took my orders on the likes. Alright, it's a little better. You gave me like 20 more. Not bad. Give me like 100. Then I'll shut up. How about that? Yeah, I was wondering what John Cena is actually doing right now. I thought he might have shown back up on Smackdown when we heard Jeff Hardy was going to be doing an open challenge. So I'm not sure when Cena is due to come back, but yeah, he'll be around for WrestleMania next year. He's definitely going to face Taker, right? At WrestleMania next year, so... You think he'll be in the Rumble and then Undertaker will, like, cost him the match? You think it'll be a deal like that, or will they wait and start it? WWE, I'm sure, could make a knockoff of Dirty Deeds. That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad. Oh, yours is Titanic, Catherine? That's hilarious. Fucking Kate Winslet. She could have moved over. He could have gotten on that door with her. Fucking Leo would be alive right now, but no. Selfish ass bitch. Titanic was crazy. I saw that in the movie theater. That came out in like 97. My girlfriend and I at the time went. And we went back and saw it a second time. She loved it. I liked it. I just... I was enjoying it more for the... I guess for the effects. You know, because for the time, the special effects were pretty good for the 90s like that. But, yeah, that's a favorite amongst the ladies. That's for sure. So, I talked about Strowman, right? What he's going to do with the briefcase. Well, what I found ridiculous on Monday Night Raw is I hated the whole thing that they did with him and Kevin Owens. Clearly, they're setting up some sort of a match here at Extreme Rules between Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens. Rumor has it, it's going to be a cage match, which... It's just weird, makes no sense. Why stop Braun Strowman from doing his runaround tackle outside the ring thing? But he's going to be stuck in a cage if that indeed happens. But on Raw, he tried to pretend that he was like friends with Kevin Owens, or he wanted to be his friend, and wanted to be his tag team partner. And who the fuck did they face? I forgot who the fuck they faced. Finn Balor and somebody else. So they go out there and they have the match, and they wind up winning. And then we knew the whole time that Braun Strowman is not serious here. He's just using this as a way to kill Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens is supposed to be so damn smart. I don't know how he doesn't understand this. So after they win, Owens is trying to celebrate with Strowman. He realizes that Strowman is not playing around, so he runs away. Strowman chases him. Kevin Owens is like hiding in closets and shit. Finally, starts leaving the building. He's got a suitcase. He's walking out, and he's trying to get his car from the valet. I guess they now have valet. That's kind of nice. Back in the day, the boys had no fucking valets. They parked wherever they could. You know, they just walked their own asses into the arena, parked their own cars, and walked their own luggage in. But he's trying to get his car from the valet, and what was so dumb about this is that he's out there in completely wide open spaces, and he's talking to the valet. And then as the valet is talking to him, Owens kind of realizes that Braun Strowman is next to him. So he looks over here to his left, and he sees Braun Strowman standing there. And then he looks over to his right, and he sees his car upside down, not 30 feet away from where Kevin Owens is standing. And he has about, a minute-long conversation with the valet without seeing either of these two fucking things in his peripheral vision. I hated everything. I hated the alliance. I hated the tag team match. I hated the ending. I hated Strowman chasing him down. And I hated the end when Kevin Owens tries to pretend like he doesn't see these motherfuckers. And somehow Braun Strowman was able to tip his car over. The car's like on its upside down and it's smoking from the hood. It's fucking crazy. Oh my god. So yeah, that was kind of not one of my favorite Braun Strowman segments on Raw. We've seen a lot better from him. And plus, it was just staged. I mean, there you go with a waste of money, you know. WWE's willing to spend money on just destroying a car for no reason, for effect. You know, at least show Braun tipping it over, but we just saw it, like, sitting there. It was just dumb. And you notice Braun Strowman got no counseling for that. No problem. This guy has no anger management issues at all. He's totally fine, totally sane, sound mind and body. Unlike a psychopath like Bailey, who's a complete fucking nut. She almost murdered Sasha Banks. They did it. They finally did it. What the hell? Who'd they work with? The Riot Squad again? They lost a match. Sasha and Bailey, who are tag teaming up again. And we never know what's going on between them. They're friends, they're enemies, they're friends, they're enemies. Finally, it seems like it's over now. After they lost, Bailey just snapped. I loved it. Bailey went off. She beat the piss out of Sasha Banks. Beat her up in the ring, tossed her outside the ring, beat her up on the outside of the ring, threw her into the ring steps, mounted her, and just punched the shit out of her. Had to be pried off of Sasha Banks. All of that I liked. And I was like, is this a heel turn? What does this mean? I'm telling you, if these two fucking bitches are a tag team next week, or this week on Raw, I'm going to lose my mind. But hopefully that was it. And it appears just by the sheer aggression of Bailey that she turned heel. Oh my God. Fuck off. Seems like she turned heel. Just the way she was beating the hell out of Sasha Banks the whole time. So I was hoping that they would maybe do a character change with Bailey. I would love to see her undergo like a complete makeover. A lot of people don't think it'll work, but it's better than what we're seeing from Bailey. You know, Bailey's just, I've just never been a fan. Even in NXT when she was over, oh my God. Even in NXT when she was over with the audience, I still personally wasn't that much of a fan. Is this fucking Sturgis? I'm living in Sturgis, South Dakota. Oh my God, drives me crazy. Oh man, you know their dick is like fucking 1 inch. But anyway, you know, I want to see like a complete makeover with Bailey, because even when she was in NXT, I didn't like her. I liked her even less on the main roster. And I would love to see her start wearing leather, take the hair down, black lipstick, be all goth, get some fucking arm tattoos, be a slut, bang half the roster. You know, just every week on Raw, I want the camera, you know, showing her like getting all up on somebody, preferably Bobby Lashley. That would be awesome. Just shit like that. Just turn her into just this hardcore chick. I just think it would be fun. It would be different. It would be interesting to see if somebody like Bailey could pull it off. But the way the WWE is, I don't think they're ever going to do that to Bailey's fans. She comes out there and hugs all of her fans every week. I mean, parents bring their little kids to the show just to hug Bailey. So I say turn hug life into thug life, and let's make Bailey a badass. That's what I want. And, you know, we talked about that on Monday night too, Alex. Dr. Shelby, I think, would be really funny if he made a cameo here and was her therapist or her counselor. But after she beats the hell out of Sasha, that was when it goes from like utopia to hell in like a matter of seconds, because you're like watching the whole segment with Bailey and Sasha, and you're like, this is great. Look at Bailey. Look how vicious she is. Look how angry she is. She's kicking the crap out of Sasha Banks. Then we go to commercial. Then we come back and we go to the back and we see Bailey talking to Kurt Angle, and he's like, what were you doing? I'm gonna assign you to sensitivity training or sensitivity counseling or whatever. So he's putting Bailey in therapy over just getting pissed and beating the shit out of her friend, which is kind of normal in professional wrestling. You know, did Shawn Michaels get counseling for throwing Marty Jannetty's head through a barbershop window? Did Braun Strowman get counseling for trying to murder half the locker room? Come on. I just thought it was so stupid. Then I'm like, oh, really, counseling? What this tells me is that it's going to wind up being a situation where she gets help with her anger, and then we start the whole fucking thing over again. Next week on Raw, or 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, whatever it is, Sasha and Bailey back together again as a tag team, taking on probably the Riot Squad, and then maybe they win. And the whole fucking thing is dragged on another 4 weeks until maybe we get to SummerSlam. But given what we saw between the two of them, I would like to see them have a match at Extreme Rules. You know, things have been building up. There's bad blood there now. Bailey clearly wants to rip Sasha's head off, and now Sasha wants revenge. Make a little stipulation. Let these girls have a Falls Count Anywhere match. Last woman standing match. Hell in the Cell match. Judy Bagwell on a pole match. Anything like that. I mean, essentially, great point, Michael Jackson. Loved all your albums, by the way. But that's a great point, because what did she do that Rousey didn't do? You know, what did Bailey do to Sasha that Rousey didn't do to Alexa? If anything, Rousey fucked Alexa up worse than what Bailey did to Sasha Banks. So Rousey got suspended. So I guess Kurt Angle knows what's good for these women. He suspends one, but gives counseling to the other for essentially the same crime. So I don't know who made Kurt Angle a fucking therapist or a judge, but he seems to know what's best for these girls. So I don't know why it wasn't reversed. Why didn't Rousey get the therapy? And why didn't Bailey get suspended 30 days? Why not, Kurt? Somebody tweet Kurt Angle right now. Ask him that. Say, hey, Kurt Angle, answer me this. How come Rousey didn't get counseling, and how come Bailey didn't get suspended? What's up with that? Oh, that's nice. I got a handful of new followers. That's cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, fun Friday night. All right, we're up to 70 likes. Not bad. You guys still suck, but not bad. 30 more. Come on, you can do it. I don't want to see Sasha and Bailey be a hell no like team. I don't want to see them hug it out. I've had enough of that. No more hugging. Ruthless aggression, Lorenzo. You're right. Let's see that out of Bailey. We saw that out of Bailey on Monday night. Now I'm worried with this whole counseling storyline that it's going to wind up backtracking it. And even though the initial beatdown and the heel turn was good, I'm worried it's going to be ruined. Guerrilla Gaming, who you talking to, fool? Not me. Yeah, is Hurricane watching? Somebody tweet him. Tell him to tune in. So really, as it pertains to Monday Night Raw, that was it. I mean, that's really all we saw on the show. We saw other matches, but none that I even give a shit to talk about. But with the multi-man match and Extreme Rules situation, Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns, Roman and Seth, and Dolph and Drew, and Brock and SummerSlam, and that whole mess. Braun Strowman with the briefcase. We don't know what the hell's going on there. It's just, it's kind of crazy. And then, of course, Bailey and Sasha will have to wait until next week to see if we get footage of Bailey's counseling. I have a feeling we will. But, yeah, I say have Dr. Shelby come in. You know why Dr. Shelby should come in? Because Hell No is back. Team Hell No. That's pretty much the most notable thing, I think, that took place on SmackDown. And, I know I called it twice. I think I said it in my last podcast. I said it on Monday night. That when Daniel Bryan started this shit with the Bludgeon Brothers, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna bring Kane back. Better to have him show up on SmackDown and work with Daniel Bryan than bring him back on Raw, where everybody hates his guts. So I was expecting Kane to come back. I really was. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I'm gonna take a quick break, take a sip of beer. And I think I'm going to hit the head, and I'll be back in like 30 seconds. Don't worry, Dark Angel. It is Friday night, and there's a really good chance that we could be discussing who has really nice asses in the wrestling business later on. So you guys hang tight. I will be back in just a second. All right, I'm starting to show back up here. So yeah, we're going to talk about SmackDown here once I get back on screen here. Such a nice hug between Kane and Daniel Bryan. Touched my heart. Pour the rest of this beer in here. All right. We should be good to go. I am back. Got a fresh beer, and we're all good to go. No, I am the tag team champions. Well, I'm glad you guys are keeping yourselves entertained in here while I was gone. Pardon me while I just read some of these comments. That's really funny. Ooh, what are y'all talking about? That's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, what this seems to me with Kane coming back and saving Daniel Bryan from the Bludgeon Brothers, and I mentioned last week when, you know, they kind of screwed Daniel Bryan out of that match, out of the gauntlet match, because he had interrupted there after their victory. He started coming down to the ring. They had a little stare down, and he knew something was up there. And then they hit the ring and interfered and cost him the match. So you're like, well, what does this mean? He's going to start a feud with the Bludgeon Brothers? They're tag team champions. He needs a partner. What's the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee up to these days? Oh, give him a call. Might be a perfect tag team partner. So I didn't really want to see that. I know everybody enjoyed seeing Team Hell No reunite. I did too. I did enjoy the hug, but you know, I'd rather have Daniel Bryan kind of in the title picture, and I'm sure he will be. It's just this is a time-killing type of deal. WWE might have other plans for AJ right now, and I pitched the idea of AJ Styles holding onto the title longer than CM Punk, which would make AJ Styles champion all the way up until the Royal Rumble. So there's no rush in going along with the Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles match. And if Daniel Bryan remains a singles competitor, but everybody else is getting title shots ahead of him, the fans are going to think that Daniel Bryan's being fucked over, not used right, and all that other dumb shit we hear from the fans. That's what they're going to think. So I think this might be a way just to kind of keep Daniel Bryan busy. And maybe if there's anybody that's going to be able to take the belts off the Bludgeon Brothers, this dominant tag team, it might be a team like Kane and Daniel Bryan. I don't know. So I guess that's what the whole thing was about last week with the Bludgeon Brothers. And Daniel Bryan took on Luke Harper one-on-one on SmackDown. And then Eric Rowan interfered. They started beating the crap out of him. And that's when Kane showed up and saved the day. And the two of them shared an embrace. And it was awesome. But... you know, to me, it's like, okay, I'm just ready. I'm just ready to get to next year into WrestleMania. I'm ready to see Daniel Bryan, you know, potentially win the title again. I would really like to see him win the title, considering how everything ended for him. I think it would be just really good for his career, and I'm hoping we get there eventually. So I'm not impatient, and there's no rush or anything like that, but it looks like we might have to have Daniel Bryan be tag team champions first, because they're getting a title shot. Paige announced it on SmackDown that it was going to be Bludgeon Brothers versus Team Hell No at Extreme Rules. And let me just say this about Paige. How good did she look on SmackDown? Without that stupid doink makeup she fucking wears lately, she looked great. She looked great. I mean, I remember when Paige first came in, I thought she was one of the most drop-dead, physically, facially beautiful women I've ever seen. You know, and then in the last couple of years, you know, she's coming out there looking like the goddamn Joker, and I don't know what the hell's going on. She's so pretty. You know, so the way I saw her on SmackDown without that big, bright fucking clown lipstick, I like that so much better. And I thought she looked great. So, Paige, I love her. I loved her on SmackDown. She looked great. She should stick with that look if it was up to me. But what do I know? I'm just a dude. I don't even have to wear makeup. Catherine, what's it like to put all that shit on? Yeah, Paige isn't as small as she used to be either, which that I don't care about. It's just more of the, she just started she just didn't look right, you know, with all that makeup and stuff. I'm like, why is she doing that to herself? With no makeup at all, the girl's gorgeous, you know? Why is she out here looking like Doink? I don't understand. But, yeah, so that's the latest with Daniel Bryan. That's what he's going to be up to now, I guess, for the next couple of months. I'm assuming he would have to beat the Bludgeon Brothers along with Kane, right? You think they're going to win the belts at Extreme Rules? Which makes a rematch at SummerSlam kind of likely. And what's AJ going to do? What's AJ Styles going to do at SummerSlam? He's got the match with Rusev at Extreme Rules. Will they do a finish in that to where they can do a rematch at SummerSlam? Or is AJ going to have a completely different opponent? Oh, thank you, Alex. Thank you, fucking Mary Kay. Well, I agree that you don't need hair. Immediately turns your mood around. Girls are so crazy. Fucking makeup. Catherine, you're the same way. You don't need any makeup. But yeah, maybe the red lipstick transforms you. Makes you go out on the town, ready to rock. Paige just overdid it. You know, hers just looked so... It was so fucking out of control. God, for a while there. I'm like, what is going on? I didn't know. I was looking at her sideways half the time. I'm like, what in the world is exactly going on here? When a beautiful woman does not have to do that to herself. Huh. It's an interesting one. Rarely even. Have we gotten that match? AJ and Randy Orton? What the hell is Randy Orton doing anyway? Did he get hurt? Or is he just taking time off? I forgot. AJ versus Randy Orton. How come I can't remember that? Part of me thinks that we've gotten that match. Have we gotten it on pay-per-view? That's possible. I don't know. I'm kind of, Randy Orton. I always have Randy Orton's back. I believe that he's a bona fide legend in the WWE. But I don't know if I really want to see him contend for the title at SummerSlam unless he puts AJ over. Because if they do go through with the idea that I pitched about AJ Styles breaking CM Punk's record, that means he's got to survive a lot of pay-per-views, which maybe WWE wants to throw random opponents in front of him. Rusev at Extreme Rules, Randy Orton at SummerSlam, maybe some other, maybe Samoa Joe at No Mercy, and AJ just keeps winning and winning and winning. Next thing you know, it's January, Royal Rumble. He's face-to-face with The Miz. Miz pulls some shady shit, sketchy shit, beats AJ for the title. They have the rematch at Fastlane, which Miz also survives. Meanwhile, Daniel wins the Rumble. Voila. You think MetLife ain't going to be yesing a little bit when Daniel Bryan sticks both of his knees up the Miz's ass, I should say? That's right. I knew it happened once, Harry. Thank you for that. I thought it happened on a Smackdown show. I don't know. AJ versus Hardy, title for title. I wouldn't be opposed to that match. I don't see that one happening, though. I don't know how they would do it. I think Hardy is going to be, provided that him and Shinsuke are both all right, I think they're going to feud for the United States title. But what a crazy-ass story. They were set to have a U.S. title match on SmackDown last week, but Shinsuke got bit by a police dog? Huh? I was like, what am I reading? So finally, I dug a little deep. I didn't dig deep. I just searched a little further into some credible news sites. And I'm like, okay, who makes this up? Who gets bit by a dog? And it was kind of an interesting story. It was something to do with a police canine dog that was sniffing for bombs and explosives. Because I guess when they have, big events at arenas, I didn't even know this, they bring in canine units to sniff out and inspect the building basically for bombs or explosives or any sort of shit like that, terrorist activity type of stuff. And I guess the dogs were making a sweep through one of the areas of the building where Shinsuke happened to be, and Shinsuke got attacked. Dog bit his leg to the point where he had to be taken to the hospital, and his match was called off the next day with Jeff Hardy. So that's pretty incredible that even happened. I mean, if you get bit by a dog, the fact that you can't even work your match, so it must have been bad. I'm hoping he's all right. Still have not heard any specifics. Anybody been on Shinsuke's Twitter account lately? Does he have any information up? Any pictures of the bandages or the blood or the dog bite or the chunk of his leg that might be taken out? Man, I just thought that was the craziest story ever. And Jeff Hardy, his body is no picnic either. He's got all sorts of problems. So Jeff Hardy, I think, just for the sake of WWE not wanting to risk having to forfeit a title and having another tournament for it, they need to take the belt off of Jeff. I just don't think he's healthy to really hold a major championship anymore. Maybe tag team titles or something, fine. Or maybe a short run in the world title picture. But Jeff being U.S. title holder was fine with me at first, but now I'm like, get that belt off of him before he can't work or he's not cleared, and then you have to hold the belt up and do a tournament for it. And every time you have to vacate the title, I just feel like it demeans it a touch. And the more of those happen, the more less significant the title gets. So I'd rather just have Jeff lose it, and so hopefully him and and Shinsuke Nakamura can both be healthy enough to wrestle one-on-one at some point for the belt. Hopefully at Extreme Rules. Hopefully we'll get some information on that too this week on SmackDown. How Wheezy, $1.99 super chat. Thanks. You're going to meet Seth on July 7th. You must be going to that MSG show, right? That will be fun. Tell him he better be challenging Brock for the title, and if he does, he better goddamn win it. That's for show. Oh, thanks for that super chat from Duelist Abe. Thoughts on WWE using TNA footage for the Hardy documentary? Yeah, I mentioned that. The 24 special, I mentioned that, I think, in my last podcast. I thought it was great. I loved that 24 special. That one's worth watching. They all are. Every single one of them that they've done, I've been fascinated with. So if you guys have not checked out the Hardy documentary, fire up your network and check it out, because it's pretty amazing, and it gets pretty intense. But a lot of that TNA footage they used, I can't believe that WWE here just a year ago, they're fighting with TNA over the use of the broken gimmicks and shit. And here they are now featuring all the footage from TNA. They showed the, it was a Victory Road. I always forget the pay-per-view that Jeff Hardy showed up fucked up against Sting and Bischoff had to call an audible. I forget what pay-per-view that was, but they showed all of that footage. They showed a lot. So I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Yeah, how easy. I think I just answered your super chat. I saw it. Thank you for that, by the way. All right, let's check on some other shit. What's our audience in here? 125 of us or so in here watching. I got to get back to my notes here. Let's talk about the rest of Raw and SmackDown. So we talked about Daniel Bryan and Kane and Hell No. We talked about Jeff Hardy and Shinsuke Nakamura. Jeff Hardy, by the way, incidentally, that's what I forgot. He had to issue an open challenge instead because Nakamura couldn't wrestle in the title match on SmackDown. So Jeff Hardy was going to be issuing an open challenge on SmackDown instead. And Eric Young was the person that accepted. So they did Jeff Hardy versus Eric Young on SmackDown. I thought I was watching TNA. But the match we never had a finish in the match, unfortunately. The rest of Sanity got involved, and then the Usos came out there, I think, to make the save is how it went down, I think. And then that led to an impromptu six-man match, which I think it was Hardy's and the Usos won, right? Yeah, they did. I remember. And how crazy is that? I mean, come on. Sanity is going to lose their debut match. All right, whatever. A lot of weird things going on with Sanity, too. I remember when they made their debut, the internet was all up in arms because WWE didn't mention TNA. And then it was leaked that WWE had specifically told the announcers not to mention TNA whenever discussing Sanity. Why? Or not, what did I say? TNA? NXT. Excuse me, NXT. But why? Why even omit that? Why even tell the announcer? What does it matter? What does it matter if you mention NXT or not? At the end of the day, I think not mentioning Sanity's run in NXT isn't really going to have any sort of effect. Who cares? But why even go through the trouble of not bringing up where they've been before? I don't know. I just don't understand like the motivation, the logic, the reasoning behind making a decision like that. Seems stupid. Seems stupid. Top 5 best asses. Holy shit. You guys are a bunch of horny fucking weirdos. We'll get there, don't worry. But Sanity losing their debut match. They did lose to Jeff Hardy and the Usos. These guys aren't exactly slouches. You've got former world champion, multi-time in Jeff Hardy. You've got multi-time tag team champions in the Usos. They've done so much in WWE. Like, there's no shame in losing to those guys, but I'm surprised that Sanity's first night in the business, or first night on SmackDown in a match together, the three of them, they lost. Whatever. Yeah, Sanity is not... I agree with you, Black Bolt. Sanity is not as over with me as he is with everybody else. Or as they are with everybody else. I don't dislike them at all. I think the gimmick is cool. I like Eric Young. I don't like the other one, but Killian Dane, he's the only one that you're interested in. Well, to me, he's the sexiest. Whenever I see Killian Dane, I just get a massively rock-hard erection. Just his tight little body and the hair, and how he looks when he's oiled up. Instant hard-on. But, yeah, I kind of agree. I'm not as big a fan of Sanity as probably most fans are, but that's because I'm a weirdo. So whatever. What I'm hoping is that Nakamura will be fine. Jeff Hardy will be healthy enough for them to have a match at Extreme Rules, or at least shortly close to that, and Nakamura wins the belt. Oh yeah, James Ellsworth, he's next on my list. It was Ellsworth. I told you that was another thing I called. I called a lot of shit this week. I called the Hell No reunion, and I definitely called James Ellsworth working in a match with Asuka. That I saw coming the minute James Ellsworth showed up at Money in the Bank. And then he was on SmackDown calling out Asuka because he knew Asuka wasn't there. So he was in the ring talking shit to her. And that's when Paige came out and made the match next week, one-on-one, James Ellsworth versus Asuka. But Paige also made a championship match between Asuka and Carmella at Extreme Rules. Now, I had pitched the idea of Ellsworth facing Asuka one-on-one. If Asuka wins, she gets a title shot at Extreme Rules. But they didn't even do that. Paige just gave her the title shot outright and also announced that James Ellsworth is going to get his ass kicked by a girl next week on SmackDown. So I enjoyed that, and that's what I said. I said at Money in the Bank, I'm like, if you think that this is the last time Asuka and Carmella are going to face each other, you are out of your mind. You are out of your mind. It's going to happen again. And everybody insists that not only is Asuka demoted now down to NXT, she's probably just a ring crew girl setting up the ring. I mean, that's how far she's fallen according to the internet. When in my mind, I look at what happened at Money in the Bank and I say, that's probably not the best place for Asuka to win the title because everything that Alexa Bliss is doing. She's winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. Then she's going to crash the match between Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. Rousey's second pay-per-view match since she's been in WWE. This is, oh, hey, buddy. Come here. Not a good time. Come here. Oh, come on. Hey, buddy. You say hi to everybody real quick, and then you got to get down. Yeah, go on down. But with Rousey, you know, having her second pay-per-view match, that whole deal was a pretty big deal with her and Nia Jax. And then Alexa crashing the party and winning the title, that was the big story with the women on Money in the Bank. So I felt that not putting the title on Asuka and Money in the Bank made a lot of sense because you don't want it to get diminished or forgotten in the shuffle and all the crazy stuff that was going on in Money in the Bank. So saving it for Extreme Rules or maybe even SummerSlam would be much better. So she's got a match now with Carmella at Extreme Rules, and now if something happens now where Asuka goes into Extreme Rules, faces Carmella, and somehow loses again, then I might be a little bit more in agreement with everybody that is getting annoyed, saying, oh, why isn't she winning the title? Okay, yeah, now's your opportunity. And Alexa's got a title shot too, or title match too. She's got to defend against Nia Jax, but I still think it can be more centered around Asuka and Carmella at Extreme Rules. And then SummerSlam can be centered around Rousey. And Rousey, I guarantee you this. What are we? What's the date today? Let's mark the date. It is. So I got some texts. It's June 29th. WrestleMania next year. We are either going to get Rousey and Charlotte or Rousey and Asuka. 100%. I'm thinking it's going to be Rousey and Charlotte. That would be the match that I think between the two I would like to see. I'd like to see that more. Sorry, I'm reading a tweet. Or reading a text. Okay, I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be Asuka's time, finally. But I want to see, you know, you got to think about SummerSlam, you got to think about WrestleMania, what they have planned. And I've pitched all along, I've said we're going to see Charlotte and Asuka Part 2. We'll either see that at SummerSlam or we'll see that next year at WrestleMania. I think we're more likely to see it at SummerSlam, maybe with Asuka getting the victory. And then next year at WrestleMania, Rousey works with one of them, one-on-one. And I'm also wondering if, you know, the timing of the Asuka title win is perfect because Extreme Rules, it's in between Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. So Money in the Bank was all about Nia Jax, Ronda Rousey, Alexa Bliss. Extreme Rules can be about crowning Asuka, having her, you know, rip the leg off of Carmella. And then SummerSlam, we can have maybe Ronda Rousey either versus Nia Jax or Alexa Bliss or both of them. And then maybe we get Charlotte and Asuka still on the SmackDown side of things. We get a triple threat on one brand, one-on-one on another. I think the same will be true for the world titles. I'm wondering if Brock will defend against one guy, Smackdown will have a triple threat, or a fatal four-way. Four-way wouldn't surprise me. You put AJ, Rusev, Samoa Joe, maybe somebody else. Fatal four-way for the title at SummerSlam. Fuck the police. What brand of beer am I drinking tonight? I am drinking a local beer, Stone IPA. This is a brewery that's not far away from me, and I actually know the owner. And I get all sorts of good shit from them. But they have a pretty good IPA, and they've got a lot of good beers. But I think I'm just drinking the one tonight because after I get off the stream here, I've got other shit to do. So I'm not trying to drink a lot tonight. I'm trying to take it easy, even though it's Friday. I think that's it. What else do I have written down? Talked about Nakamura's dog bite. Talked about Hardy versus Eric Young, Insanity. Talked about Paige and Asuka and Carmella and Extreme Rules. Talked about Team Hell No. Talked about Raw. Talked about Enzo Amore on Austin's podcast. We talked about Vince McMahon spending money on the XFL. We talked about WWE cock-blocking Ring of Honor in Madison Square Garden. The unfortunate death of Matt Capotelli. I talked about my schedule coming up this week. We've talked about a lot. We talked about the NXT UK show. And Pete Dunne defeating the winner of the tournament, Zach Gibson. New tag team champions crowned in NXT as well. We got into a lot. How long have I been streaming for? 2 hours. We covered a lot in that 2-hour period. So now, since I think we're done, oh my God, we're still talking about asses. I left y'all alone for 1 minute. Next thing you know, we're talking about asses. So I apologize for kind of the clunkiness of this stream. I was busy all day and I wanted to come up here and talk about stuff, and I had some notes written down, but you know, it's been a weird day. So I apologize if I was stuttering or stumbling or any of that crap. But I think we're pretty much done talking about the wrestling stuff, and now we can kind of move on to the bullshit. We'll move into Q&A. I'll interact with you guys in the chat here. We'll hang out, we'll talk. And this will be the point where I will end the stream. Like, I'll end the I'm going to edit out this part, you know. So if you're watching this later on, if you're watching this like a week later, this is going to be the end of the stream right here. And then I'm going to continue on and talk to you guys, but I'm going to go back and edit out everything we talk about from here on out, just in case it gets crazy with Stacy Keibler asses and God knows what else you guys are talking about. You've probably scared Catherine away. Good job. Oh, see, she's already saying goodbye. Good night, Catherine. She already said good night to me. You asshole scared her away. Probably because you're talking about asses. Oh, it's Friday. Shit, I'm sorry, Catherine. You have been up since 5. I'm like, why the fuck have you been up since 5 o'clock in the morning? Because it's a weekday. Funny story about my, it's up in the cards here, up in the top right-hand corner, my King of the Ring 1998 review that I did. I had to redo part of it, and I got done really late, and I stayed up until... How late did I stay up the other night? I stayed up until 6 o'clock in the morning. I actually recorded the podcast like 2 weeks ago, but I ran into all sorts of these like editing issues. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to do this, and I forgot to do this, and I forgot to do this. Next thing you know, I'm like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, I got to get that video uploaded. So I pulled it up and I started editing the podcast and doing stuff. Next thing you know, 5 hours go by and I'm still working on it. 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun is coming up. I can see the sun coming right up through the window here. And I'm like, I'm still sitting in this chair editing my fucking shit. So I put in a lot of work and I stayed up all night to do it. So please give the King of the Ring 1998 20-year anniversary This Day in History episode a look. It was fun to record. And I think I'm going to pull off my Mick Foley Hell in the Cell comments there and throw that up as a mic drop this week. But it was fun to go back and look at that pay-per-view and relive it. And I watched the whole thing. How about you? Any of you guys follow me on Twitter? How many of you in here, the 100 of you that are in here, follow me on Twitter? If you don't, please do at GoodMicWork. While I was making my notes, some additional notes for King of the Ring, I came across a really good series of moves, a really good interaction on King of the Ring 1998 between Billy Gunn and Bart Gunn. And I took a video of it because I thought it was such a good little sequence of moves there. Tweeted it, tagged everybody in the match, Bob Holly and Road Dogg and Billy, and they all retweeted it. Pretty cool. Dustin Rhodes made some comments on it. So did Road Dogg. It was a fun little... I was about to skip the match because it was the new Midnight Express, which was a terrible tag team against the New Age Outlaws. And it was a match that I remember sucking and not caring about. The fans sure as shit didn't care about, but I'm glad I watched it because that little interaction between the former Smoking Guns was great shit. Great shit. I heard about Stacy Keibler's baby. That's right. How many kids does she have now? 2? Good for her. Man, even 9 months pregnant, I'd bang her. She's ridiculous. She is ridiculous. All right, we got 100 people in here watching. Don't go anywhere. I swear to God, I'm going to be back in 30 seconds. I'm just going to run and grab a new frosty beverage, and I will be right back with you.